Greetings, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. And I was scrolling around on the old YouTubes today and looking for maybe a little inspiration for something for us to talk about. And came across a video. I don't know what the actual title of the video was, but in the thumbnail image it said, "Nothing escapes the INFJ." And plenty of stuff escapes us, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I know what they mean. I haven't watched the video. I probably won't be watching the video because this is one of these channels. Nothing wrong with them, but I don't like the scripts. I don't like the AI voices. I don't like the B-roll. It's just that this whole channel is a response to all that. Yes, we have one picture and an incarnated dragon, but there's some past lives I was a human, so I can definitely relate. Anyway, INFJ all the way. What do they mean by nothing escapes us? Well, what they mean essentially is that people could be trying to hide all kinds of stuff, and we're seeing it. They think that people don't know, people aren't onto them. But between the feeler tendrils of the extroverted feeling function that snake out and gather all sorts of sociological information and basically feed that into the introverted intuition matrix, most people are just open books to us. We know what they're about. Now, that's what's funny about that is when certain narcissists can get a hold of us and mess us up. So we're not immune to being manipulated. But for the most part, even in those situations, we can actually be actively being manipulated by a narcissist, be aware of it, and be unable to free ourselves from the situation. I can't even talk about that. As I was going to say, topic for another video. I have touched on it before, but yeah, I don't have any solutions for you on that, except be careful. The best solution regarding anything having to do with narcissism is to avoid them 100%. The second you get a whiff of any of that sort of vibe, just get on your bike and ride. Yeah. So with that, maybe perhaps significant omission there. Most people are transparent to us. We see them very clearly. We know what motivates them. We can tell quite a lot about even their backgrounds, like whether they had a lot of love or all sorts of information that they don't necessarily know that we know. And in a lot of cases, we will just keep it to ourselves, or perhaps someone who's quite astute might be able to discern from our line of questioning that we have perceived maybe more about them than they wanted to reveal. Now, this is actually something that's a bit in common with the AI. The AI is very good, very adept at modifying its approach to each person specifically, light side and dark side. How they do this, gosh, it's a black box, isn't it? So in a topic that is truly a topic for another video, and we have touched on it in the past. But nothing escapes us except a big, huge chunk of what's actually going on in reality. And how do I know? Well, one way that you can know is by having friends and that are communicating to you, that might point out to you that once it becomes aware to them that you're missing all sorts of things that other people are picking on and perceiving. We don't. Now, the reasons for that are many. For one, I've talked about this also in previous broadcasts. Reality is 90% or 95 or 98 even percent filtering, and 2% perception. If were we to perceive everything that we could perceive, we wouldn't perceive anything because it'd be too much stimulation. So filters are being brought in, and they're stepping down the information. They step it down, they step it down, they step it down, so that we can pull things into focus. And that's not just INFJs, that's everyone. However, most people are able to. It's a bit like color blindness in some cases. Like A colorblind person is able to perceive a range of values. They're able to make it through the world, but they're not perceiving all the colors that they could be. And in most aspects of their life, it may not be that big of a hindrance unless perhaps they want to be an artist. And I knew a case of an artist who actually was colorblind, mostly worked black and white, but every now and again would do color work, and they just had their markers labeled. Anyway, we're diverging. Yeah, we don't pick up basic things. I remember there's a place whereby I do some work sometimes. It's a cafe, and I've been going there for 15 years or so, and right by the door there is this giant piece of glass from a glassworks that used to be in the city that I was visiting. And I just noticed it, maybe last year. It'd been there the whole time, but filtered out, not important. And that's just one example that comes to mind, and obviously there could be myriad examples. And in a lot of cases, our loved ones and friends would be aware of this, and they just think of us as being, eccentric or just missing things. Another thing that we're definitely that definitely can escape us is this like very intimate sort of relationship that a lot of other types have with the past. Now, obviously, we're living our lives, and each one of us is going to define the whole entire world through the focus of their own identity, their own type, their own cognitive stack, and the functions thereof. So, the whole world is essentially contained within each one of us, but I have noticed that a lot of other people care a lot more about the past than I do. I do think about the past sometimes, but for the most part, the images are somewhat diffused, and the ones that I can bring into a sharper focus, they're fleeting. It's not like the sort of concrete remembrance that I have seen other types and other people exhibit. So the past is escaping us, and to a large degree, that puts us on a sort of different footing. Now, we're not the only types that are future-centric. Like I said, Mrs. Dragon, she's a intuitive feeler. She's an INFP, though. And she's way more conversant with the past than I am. And she's also pretty good at noticing some things. On the other hand, there's a heck of a lot that Mrs. Dragon doesn't notice, and that's all to the good. Because if you're not a very noticey type, I think it can be a special kind of hell to be in a relationship with someone who is a very noticey type. You're always going to be coming up short and disappointing them and irritating them in any number of ways. So there's that. So yeah, I pretty said I might make the title "Everything Escapes Us," but that's not true, is it? People don't. We can see them so clearly. We can psychoanalyze them. The problem of that is if you're actively engaged with that as some sort of occupation, in many ways it's the perfect INFJ job on the one hand. On the other hand, being so fully plugged into someone else's existence is a very extroverted activity in a way that is going to drain you. And I think this is one reason why psychoanalysts make the big bucks. They make big money, and for that reason they're predominantly helping super wealthy people. We have an alternative now in the form of AI. I don't know, I have played with that, and I thought, well, this is my thing with anyone trying to psychoanalyze me. I know me way better than they could ever know me. So they have ideas about things, and half the session seemed to be just correcting them and getting them on the right track. But maybe after a while, once you got to know each other, maybe you could see some real value from that sort of engaging enterprise. Maybe not. Either way, nothing escapes us except reality itself, I guess. Maybe we're living in a dream. maybe we're the only ones that know we're living in a dream. Who knows? And until they come back, keep on keeping on.